Hello guys, welcome back. Hopefully everybody out there is keeping well. Usually in these videos what we do, we bring out a success story and use it as a case study. So we don't really have a success story here, but we have a mixed results story. And I want to use this as a case study because I believe majority of traders will end up in this position, i.e. you turn your 1,000, 2,000 into 10 and then you wipe out majority of it. And a lot of you will be in that position because really you can go through streaks of just profits, 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 and eventually something happens that wipes out everything. And this is what we have here. So we have a trader from Ireland, Europe. He's trading futures, predominantly the London Stock Exchange, and we have some trades here on the Wall Street CFD, which is the Dow Jones. And he's turned 1,000 into 8 in a couple of months' time. He's been trading for a year. And I want to show you some pictures before we get into the statement and dissect it. And we're also going to bring him on this in this video for him to explain to you what happened to the second picture. So here is the first picture. You can see his profit constantly rising and being very consistent with it. Of course, it took a dip, but he continued and pushed even harder to make even more. So that's the good part. Now let's look at the other picture, which is not so good. And of course, guys, you go from 1,000, you double it, and then you double that multiple times, and you hit your 8,000 of 1,000 investment, and then boom, suddenly one bad trade, and that's really what happened to him. One bad trade wiped out everything. We're gonna find out why and what happened here, and the lessons to take from this, guys. So one bad trade wiped out all the profits he's made and all the consistency, and now he's back to the beginning. Really, he hasn't lost his capital, but he's back to the beginning, wiping out majority of his profits. Of course, he didn't withdraw any of it. So with that being said, guys, let's dissect his statement and bring him on in this video to tell us what happened. So of course, guys, this statement he gave me is after he's doubled his account and whatnot, and all he's trading is one thing, and that is the FTSE, which is the London Stock Exchange. Now, for those of you who don't know, or basically you're not aware of futures, futures is just a contract that represent something, right? Whether it's gold, oil, the stock market in the US, the stock market in China, the stock market in Germany, or the stock market in London. And this is the Dow Jones. A lot of you are familiar with the Dow Jones. Well, the Dow Jones future is going to be on a CFD broker somewhere in Europe. And basically, it's a speculative asset. We speculate on the direction of the overall stock market that is going in today. And for many people, they find it easier than trading stocks because here we can just use the news to identify direction in the markets. With that being said, let's go back to his statement. Now, you can see his contracts is 7 contracts, and he's consistent with it, right? You can see very consistent with it. Now, after he's made some profits, his contract size increased. But you can see, guys, his profits are low, i.e., per trade. And that's because he was quick with exits. Okay? Very quick with exits. And he continued, guys. He continued and continued. And of course, he's had some losses, but his profits are more than his losses. But then you have this one bad trade of 4,300, bringing you down after all. This is his realized P&L, profit and loss. After all the consistency you have made, you suddenly take a 4,000 loss. And of course, that was almost 17 contracts, 12 contracts here, 17 contracts. And the reason behind that was because he was approaching his 10,000, which is a psychological number. And trading is all about psychology. Really, you try to force quick profits to hit a specific number, or you try to revenge trade to recoup your losses. But let's listen to what he has to say, and then we'll continue with the video. So looking at your statement here, right? You did have losses, and the losses were there, but they were, I mean, you really picked up the pace with the contracts, the amount of contracts you use.
So
Yeah,
you had a happy start, but at the end it wasn't so happy. Okay.
I wasn't so happy. No.
No, no, no. I wanna cover this because this is what really the video is about. Is the big loss you took after building up that account, which was four thousand
Yeah,
three hundred.
yeah.
Right. So tell
Um,
me what did you do wrong here after doing everything right? What you did wrong here? Let
I
me
think I was
guess.
just chasing that.
Let me guess. You held a
Go for
position
it.
overnight, right?
Right.
Did you?
I did, yes. I
And
thought things would go back my way. And see, obviously, it was getting close to that 10K account capital. And I've been dreaming about it from day one. Um, and it was so close, it just crossed. I think on that last trade, it just crossed the 8K. That last trade was actually green, and I should have took my profit. But whatever I was thinking that day, I just thought it had more juice. And
you got
it came
greedy,
back and went into the red. Yeah,
right?
it came back and went into the red. And I held on. I told myself I'll get out at the next support level, or I'll make a decision at the next support level what I'm going to do. And we couldn't have predicted it because it was a market correction at that point. It was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
Uh, Stocks just crashed. Everything crashed,
yeah.
and didn't even react to the next support level. It
And
just the bottom fell out.
and you were long. You were buy position.
Yeah, it was long, and it was the most ridiculous long position you'll ever see in your life.
What advice? What lesson did you take personally, and what advice would you give everybody else watching?
The number one lesson is before you enter a trade, you need to know where you're getting out if things don't go in your favor. You, like, just do not enter a trade without a predefined risk limit. And I did have that predefined risk limit, but it just one of them things.
Basically, guys, his loss was out of emotions, right? He held that position overnight, and this was a buy position when the market was actually dropping. And you can see the date here. It was January, just a week ago, 26th of January. So what ended up happening, he held the position overnight. Of course, it moved against him by 400 points here. You can see, guys. He opened it at 7,600, which represent the FTSE, and he closed it at 7,200. So he took a 400 points loss. So 400 points multiplied by 12 contracts. You do the maths here, guys. Of course, it's going to be that number. Okay. So, lesson to take from this video really is let's uh let's not aim for specific numbers. Focus on what's working. It could take you a year, 2 years to get to where you want to get, but you will get there with consistency. But if you try to force it, if you try to force your success, if you try to force your 10,000 or your 9 time, doubling your account multiple times. I mean, he's taking 1,000 into pounds, 8,000 pounds trading just one thing, and that's the FTSE. Okay, but he wiped it with one bad trade because he was hoping and I guess thinking that this trade can go in his favor, which is a mistake, especially with leveraged accounts. And that's the problem with traders who use leverage is you got to be careful, guys, because one bad trade can take everything away from you. So that's why only trade and size up like this when you really are focused on your trade. You're not, holding overnight and you don't know what's going to happen. So only size up with leverage if you're going to be watching the trade constantly. Otherwise, it's really a big risk. However, Steven here is motivated. He's going to continue trading. That's a major lesson, guys. And hopefully, you guys learned something from this. You're not the only one who wipes your profits after bad trades. A lot of people do. I mean, Steven has been doing it for months, and one bad trade took him out. So, with that being said, guys, hopefully this video was short and sweet. I'll see you soon. Smashy, smashy. Let me know if you can relate to Steven in the comment section. And keep an eye on Steven. He's back in the game, and he's back on the road to bringing that profit back home. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. See you soon. Peace and love, and smashy, smashy.